Hi there, and welcome to Stamping in the Barnyard. My name is Bethany Barnard, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I'm glad that you're here today. I hope that you'll give me a like and that you'll check out some of the other cards that I've put up on my channel. This is actually card number 8 that I have put a video up. I've got more coming, and it's using the Storybook Moments suite from our January to April mini catalog. Now we're just about approaching April, and that will be our last month. So if they don't carry any of this over, and we won't know that till next week, then this might be your last chance to get some of this product. Primarily, I use the designer series paper to make the cards that I have shown in the series, but I do also use the stamp set and definitely the dies. The dies cut out all of these cute little characters here that you can stamp, as well as in the designer series paper. There's a sheet like this, and you can cut out various characters with the dies here. We're going to be using this wall stamp here today. So I do use other products from, especially for if you take all of the cards I've made across the board, I do use other products from this suite. But it is such a fun suite to use. But the designer series paper goes a long way. There's about 50 different characters and little images that are die cut and there's two on a sheet. So there's like about 100 die cuts that you might be intimidated by a card like this, for example, because there's so much on it. But you don't have to die cut these all out yourself. You don't have to stamp them. You don't have to color them. They're all done for you, and you just can take them out. So if you're intimidated by a card like this, I would really encourage you to not be afraid. This card actually comes together quite quickly, and I'm anxious to show you that. I'm gonna go through the pieces that we need to make this card. I'm gonna put this aside. All of the product will be listed in the description box, so you can have everything with you as you make the card. Alongside, I will have the measurements and also how to score it. This is just a half sheet of cardstock cut the long way, so it's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Additionally, we have one that's 1 1/4. This is the Smoky Slate. This is the pool party. 1 1/4. That measurement's important, by 11, and it's scored in the exact same places, 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. And then finally, you'll have this one piece, which is 2 inches by 3 3/4, and it's scored at 1/2 and 3 1/4. Again, all those measurements will be in the description box underneath the video. So to get started, you're going to take your pool party piece, which is the base of the card. This does fold and go into our normal medium envelopes. And my recommendation is that you do the stamping first, because if you're going to add clouds, which I do intend to do. Now, my clouds are from the Adventurous Skies stamp set bundle that we have with the airplane and the clouds. There are other stamp sets, well, I should say other dies, that also cut out clouds, past and present. Or you can, I've just brushed on some white craft ink to make the clouds, or you can go without the clouds. You really don't need them, but that is something that is extra from a different set. All right, so to get started, my recommendation is that you would put the words on first, because then you can space things around them, and you want them to be central. Now, on this card, I did use Hello Friend from Storybook Friends and Happy Spring, but I do want to make this card into a birthday card for my granddaughter, whose birthday is coming up in about 2 weeks. And I think she'll just really find these characters all very cute. So I'm gonna stamp with Pretty Peacock. It shows up nice and dark on the pool party. And I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday. And this is from Unbounded Love. This is a word set. It's got lots of different words, but it's got this beautiful happy birthday and then may all your wishes come true. That's what I want to do for my granddaughter. So on the front of this card, I'm just going to put happy birthday, and then may all your wishes come true. I'm going to have it so that's hidden behind here when she opens the card, and that she doesn't see it until she really pulls that about. So I'm going to put that right here. May all your wishes come true. I could have spent a little more time to make that straight, but I think she'll forgive me. You can spend more time to make that straight. It's one of the handicaps of making a video. So once you have those stamped, you're going to be able to place all of your different pieces. But before we do that, I'm now going to take the gray strip, and I'm using the Pebbled Path. It just made sense to use that color on top of my Smoky Slate to be able to do the wall. And I'm going to show you how I'm doing this wall. This wall, you can see it has a curve around here, but we're gonna, well, you'll see how I'm gonna do this. So open it up, and this is why the 1 1/4 measurement works out so well for what I'm gonna try to do. So I'm gonna flip this upside down so I have what looks like a straight edge at the top. I don't know how much you can see this, but I've basically put the wall all the way across. I don't know if that makes sense. That's my go-to language when I make videos, I've learned. So I am going to try to, this is harder to do on a video than in person because I am trying to do it away from me. But I'm going to just stamp along the top of this. It does not have to be exact. The eye is very forgiving. And you can see I'm not getting it quite, but we're going to be putting things on top and underneath, so it's going to work out just fine. So you can see, and if I wanted to, I could even trim it, but I probably won't. So you can see I've stretched this all the way across, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to fill in those places. So I'm going to start with this first curve here, and I'm going to just put the rocks underneath. I hope that we're seeing that on camera. Maybe not. I'll pull it up a little bit. It's harder for me because I'm stamping further away and can't look right over it, but to try to help you out. You see how I'm filling that in? And you don't have to worry about different places because it's just the way the wall looks anyway. So you can see how I'm filling that in. It's really quite easy. I had my whole team do this one time and they did fine. So I'm sure you will as well. I'm not even going to worry about how this comes down a little bit. I think it'll be so forgiving. So that's how you make a wall. Now in the wall, we have a lot of greenery where the grass is growing between the wall and down at the bottom. But I'm going to wait and color that in after I put my pieces on, because otherwise I'll be coloring bits that aren't even seen in the, because we cover them up with the characters. I hope that makes sense. And I just did something. Yeah, this will still work. I'm going to turn this around this way. Yeah, that'll still work. Because when you do this card, I actually stamped on the wrong side, but you can just, in fact, if you make a mistake, you can just turn it around and try again. Because unlike the card where you have 2 3/4 and then it bends, when you make this and put it on, you're going to take it all the way out to the 5 1/2 and then finish it like this. So there's no fold between all of that, but you can see how that's still going to work. Now I'm going to start by adhering this just on the left-hand side. We're not going to adhere the right-hand side yet, and that's because of the soil that we're going to put in between. So I find it safer to put the glue on the cardstock rather than on the back of this, because then you know that you haven't brought it too far over here. Okay. I like to kind of slide my glue as I do this. There you go. And so that's at the end. And again, it's going to fold like this, but right now we're just worried about getting that first bit on, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this is the Espresso, and I'm looking for a color that would make garden soil. And this is going to give us 2 pieces. So I'm going to just tear that, because to me the soil's going to be a little bumpy like that. I personally like, you can use either side, but I like when you see the actual tearing. I feel like that's more like what soil will actually look like when you make it. Now, once you've torn that and you have your 2 pieces, I do like to angle this down, because it's going to be, so it's from the score line outward, and it's just so that you don't see it as much once you put it in the card. It might make sense when you actually make the card. So I'm going to do that to both sides, because from the score line back, these are just your tabs, and they're going to be folded in. And so I just think it gives a neater look. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold them back on both sides. There we go. And then just on one side, and I recommend the left side, you're going to put some glue just on that tab part. And then you're just going to bring it forward a little bit. I'm doing it about 3/4 to an inch from this score line. So to the left here and back. And then you're going to do the same thing with your second piece, which I'm going to just put in between where I've placed the first one. You don't have to measure this. You just want them sort of spaced differently on this piece here, okay? Now, the beauty of not adhering this right away is that you can lay this flat, and now you have your 2 tabs here exposed, so I can put glue on them. And when I lay this out, these tabs will adhere to the right part of your fold, and you know it's going to fold and all work. So I don't know if that's clear, but we're gonna hopefully just seeing me do it will make more sense for you. And here I maybe didn't put that in. I'm gonna work hard to try to make sure you do see the important part. So now I've put glue on these 2 tabs, right? So on the right of the score marks. And then I'm gonna pull this out here. This piece will eventually get glued on right here. So I know that if I have this stretched out like this and I adhere those pieces, do you see how that works? And then you have your soil. So once you've done that, you can put your, let's see, what's the best way to do this? Now I can fold this like that. Okay, so let me do that again. So now that I have that, I can fold the front piece under. This will still come over, and I can fold this down, and I can put glue here. And now I can just bring this over, open it up, and I know this is supposed to go right up to the corner of this card. And adhere. So you're only doing that last 2 3/4 bit here, and then it should fold flat. See how easy that is? And that's probably the hardest part of this card. Now we're just putting on the pieces. So the little characters that we have, I'm not sure if I showed them to you yet, but we have, so you can just get these characters popped out as we make the card. But I have started with this little lamb, and I just want her to, this is what we're putting those words up there first makes a difference, because I don't want to block it. I don't want to put it right like that and have her head go right in there. So I'm not sure if I want her all the way over to the right, or if I want her all the way to the left. I think I like her better over to the right. So let's just adhere her. Now I'm putting these on flat because the card will have a little bit of bulk to it just because of the folding that's going on the inside. So I'm not popping her up or anything, but if you've got a nice thick envelope to put these in, then you may decide that you want to pop some of these up. But really there's so much popping up going on just because of the nature of this card. So we've got her attached. And you can see I did already cover up some of that grassy part here, so I'm glad that I didn't take the time to color it in. And now I really like this can, watering can, to sit a little bit on this side of the card, but also hanging over a little bit. You guys can decide how to place these yourself, but I really kind of like that look. I should tell you as well that I did take the time, you certainly don't have to, but I trimmed out these die cuts just that little bit closer, but they work. You can see I didn't do it on this card. So if you like this card, you can see there's a much bigger trim going on there, but I did trim mine a little bit more closely. So the watering can's what I'm gonna put on next, and I do need to make sure that I only put glue on the left, what would that be? The back of the left-hand side, because that's what's gonna stick to paper. I don't want to stick to this back piece, do I? So I'm gonna put this in. I like it just tiny bit in, so it really looks like it's just sitting on the wall. That was my plan there. Okay. And then the next one we have is this sweet little possum knitting together her project and her head coming up over. I really like that because we're going to have her, what I call her husband, about to go fishing. I guess they're both having a little bit of a lazy day. Now remember, you only want to glue her on the bottom half because her head's gonna, that's something to, I just really want to caution you with, is when you adhere these, make sure that you're not putting glue anywhere. Like if I had put it on the back of her head, then that would glue this shut here and it wouldn't open. So you're only putting that at the base. So here she is, right? You see how this is coming together so quickly? Now I do want to, I'm gonna go ahead and put up some clouds. See, the reason why you wanna make sure that you stamp first is you wanna make sure that you don't use clouds that are going to cover up. So this is the smallest cloud in the set. And what I'm gonna do probably is I probably will cut that to be coming in. Let's see. right, let's see. And then this, is that too low if I do it? I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and put that cloud. This is where you learn a little bit about foregrounds, etc. in stamping. And you may want to put your clouds on after you have stamped your greetings, so that, because anything in the background is going to be okay. But see, now I'm going to be tucking this down in here. But that seems to work. But I do recommend that maybe you put your clouds in first. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on here, and then I'm going to cut it off where it hangs over. Remember, when you make a card, you're looking at more detail than the recipient ever does, because it's our craft and our art. But I kind of feel like these clouds end up framing the happy birthday quite nicely. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to just cut that off right along the card. There we go. So I'm happy with that. Now, I also want to do some clouds. The reason I even thought of that is because I am going to be hanging this chipmunk from this swing here. Again, it's one of our die cuts, but I do think I want clouds behind her as well. I got to figure out where I want all these clouds. In there will be easy to do. But I also want it to look right when the card's shut. So I'm not sure, I might just do a smaller one in there. You might take my pick to get this to work. So that'll work. How much room do I have? I don't think I can come that far over, but I can come there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. I think that'll work. Let's see. Not quite. Go down and over just a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. I do have my eraser, but I don't have it out here. So I'll clean that up afterwards. Actually, those erasers are great, but since I don't have mine right here, I don't know why I don't. Except for that I recently went on a trip and brought all of my tools. But that's going to be cleaned up enough, I think, for you to see, and I can clean it up more afterward. There we go. Fingers are amazing, aren't they? Now, you guys might think this cloud is low, but it actually isn't because it's in the background. All right. And now I think finally, I'm going to put this one here and another little one maybe in front of it like that. Let's see how that will look with this coming across it. I think that'll be fine. Sorry about shaking that camera just then. I had a little interruption I wasn't expecting. All right, so put these clouds on. There we go. And sometimes on a cloudy day, you can have them overlapping or seemingly overlapping. So should I have it like this? Maybe I will. How's this gonna look? Yeah, that'll look okay. There. As I said, you really don't even need the clouds. I had them because I have a son who's a pilot, so I have that whole airplane set. Okay. And so the next thing I want to do is put in my swinging chipmunk. And the reason why I wanted to get those clouds in are really because of the other characters that are coming in now. So I hope that makes some sense for you and that you'll see why it's important to kind of at least lay it out. I like to just use dots here to cover it. Otherwise you'll have glue everywhere and I'll be trying to clean that up without my eraser like I just did the other one. Okay. All right, now I am going to have his branch hang over slightly and I'm gonna snip that as well. I think it's a girl chipmunk. Something about the eyes tell me this is a girl. And then we've just trimmed that. So this is just somebody having fun swinging on a tree. And then we'll take our Mr. Possum, who is going fishing, and I didn't want him to cover up my person on the swing. We'd hear him. Obviously, you might be using different characters to do this scene. I would suggest that you lay it all out how you want to do it beforehand. I will say that I think I said in my introduction about how I really tried to make the best use of all the different die cuts that come in this DSP packet. But you do have 2 of everything because there's 2 full sheets. And my part 1 and part 2 classes, they only needed 1 packet of DSP to be able to do all of the cards. So that's going to be at least 11 cards just made with that 1 packet of designer series paper. And I'm hoping I have time to put up some more as well, so it would even be more than 11. Let's see, we might have to tilt him a little bit. And because he's walking, we can do that. So you see he'll be like this when it's closed. Look how, I mean, the card's already cute, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna work from the back to the front now. So the next thing we're gonna use is the wheelbarrow. And we're gonna put the wheelbarrow in here behind the dirt. We can even, look at that, I can even, yeah, that's gonna work. Now, I'll show you a little trick that you can use. I do happen to have, oh look, I had more clouds here. I have a little scrap of, where did I cut off? I don't wanna use that. I do have lots more clouds as I look around. But here's some very vanilla. And that's a little bit like the bottom of these. So I'm going to show you how you can extend these to glue them on. I'm going to just cut maybe 1/4 inch. Does not have to be straight. So this is like 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch. And what this allows you to do is I'm going to put the wheel of the wheelbarrow on top of the little strip there. And that way I can put glue on it to put it behind here and have it look like it is well in that soil. I could also, it's especially with the way I'm going to do this, I am going to put a dab. So I just put a little dab of glue on the back part of this wheelbarrow, not on just on one leg, because I actually cut up between them with my scissors. I think you'll see why I did this in a second. I don't think we even need this second piece here, but I'm going to try it. But I think it'll be fine with just the first one. What you don't want is any glue sticking back here, because if you have glue sticking back here, then it's going to, because this is about an inch away from the back here, you don't want, when it's folded flat, for it to stick there and then not come up. So you want to make sure the back of this is not sticky. If it is, the simple solution to that is using your embossing buddy, which I've already put mine away from. I was away, guys. I went to Australia for a couple weeks. How fun was that? And so got some things that I didn't get out for this, but this is all going to work fine. So then we're going to put glue on the bottom of these tabs, and then I can put this one behind it and this one behind it, and you won't actually see that. Now this back one here, I don't know if I want to use it. It's not going to work. I think it's unnecessary and more bulky, so I've just taken that off. I am going to put just a dab. It's going to adhere because of this piece here. So, you know, I wouldn't worry about it, but I've just put that little dab of glue there. I hope you can see that. And I got to put the glue on the other part of the tab. Okay. So now I'm pretty comfortable with this, and we're going to just can you see this on the camera? So I'm gonna first the wheel, let me get it right in there, and then I'm gonna pull this down, and where I stuck that dab of glue, I'm gonna press that against the back. So you see the wheelbarrow is sort of staying in there. Oh, guys, I left out a part. Oh dear. So I have these strawberries here. And you might think, how did you leave out a part? Because you can just glue those on. Well, that's sort of true. But so we have this X-Acto knife attachment that will go on our Take Your Pick tool. I am going to try doing this after the fact, but you don't want to do this after the fact, and you can just use scissors. But I am going to try and cut my wheelbarrow, a slot in my wheelbarrow. I don't know how well you can see this. I am really sorry about this, guys. I know that, how well can you see that? I'm trying to see on my camera how well you can see that. I'm not sure that it's coming up very light. Oh well, anyway, we'll see when I watch this afterwards. I don't want to have to refilm this because I've done all these pieces together for you. But I'm going to just go along the line of the, yep, and I think I've cut through. Seems like I have. I just put these underneath so that I didn't cut through the cardstock. You would want to do this beforehand, and it's not essential that you do it beforehand. Let's see. I know I cut through. I mean, it's got the score line there. So what happened? Yeah, there we go. All right, so I want to then stick this strawberry down, and how come I can see it here that it's cut? It's always when you're doing a video, right? Okay. So I just want to stick it in so it looks more like it's coming out and overflowing over the wheelbarrow. It's, you know, nobody needs to be that. It's just me, guys. But anyway, I am gonna therefore put a little bit of glue on the back of this as it adheres to the wheelbarrow. I hope I didn't get too far up. You want to do this. You want to put the strawberries in the wheelbarrow before you attach it to the soil. But there, I've done it. Now we've got the strawberries in the wheelbarrow. So we're good to go there. I do wish I had pulled this up just a little bit. I don't know if it's too late to do that. It's, again, I'm fussing over things that don't need to be fussed over. All right. So we've got two things left. We have these carrots left, which I'm going to put in the soil in front here, and just a little bit of the carrots showing at the top so that you can tell that's what's planted there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue at the bottom of each carrot. You see that? A little bit of glue at the bottom of each carrot. And then I am going to maybe tilt it a little bit. There's a lot going on. If you think about it, there's a lot going on, and I want to still be able to see the wheelbarrow, the pot, and everything. So that's why I've placed it there. And that's because finally I have our little rabbit coming in who has already harvested some carrots, right? And I'm gonna have him stand next to this carrot because those are the next carrots he's gonna be pulling up. So I am just gonna put some, you know, I think I'm gonna do the same thing and add a little tab to his feet. Because that will stabilize him a little bit, and it will also mean that we can see his feet right at the top of the soil, which I like. So again, I've just added him like that. Then I can put the glue on here and put so that his feet are like right above it. How cute is that? I think it's adorable. I love it. I think these come together so quickly. I should have shown you, and I didn't, that this, or did I show you at the beginning? This rabbit was actually cut out of this sheet of designer series paper. There's all sorts of images. A lot of them are cut out with the dies, but I did hand cut him out because I particularly wanted the one with him carrying all those. There's some with him with carrots in a basket that would have worked as well, but this was just my favorite one, so that's what you're getting to see. But this way you can see his feet are right at the top of the soil there. I hope you can see that. I'm going to press it down to make sure that it's adhered well, and there you have it. That is our full scene of life in creature land. I'm going to move him over a little bit just so we can see more of the wheelbarrow. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I'm so excited about it. I think she'll love it. And then if you want to write more, you can just write more back here. You can add a piece of white if you want to, but I think the pool party is light enough to just go ahead and put a little birthday message on the back. But that is our card. And I hope I didn't make it too complicated. And I thank you for watching. Bye.